Zach Wilson.
Jones goes to the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
Nobody loves the Bucky Brooks top 5 like our producer Jason Brooksby. Maybe because it's Brooksby. Either way, here's Bucky Brooks' top 5 quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. You see, he has Justin Fields at number 2. So why do we keep asking, is it Trey Lance or Mac Jones at number 3 overall to the 49ers? That is the question. Let's go live to Santa Clarita now. Santa Clarita is right up the road from Los Angeles. Santa Clara, sorry, Mike Yam. Oof. Live to Levi Stadium. Mike Yam with us live here as we talk 49ers. We've talked Mac Jones. We've talked Trey Lance. We could be talking Justin Fields. I think we should, because you've been talking a little bit here to John Beck as well, who's working with Justin Fields. He's the former NFL quarterback, a guy that knows the Shanahans just a bit.
He knows it pretty well, Andrew, and I think the reality is when I got off the phone with John, it was abundantly clear to me that he is a huge fan of Justin Fields. He's gotten it done on the football field. He made reference to what he did in that Clemson game where obviously Fields was terrific. But I asked him specifically, what is Kyle Shanahan? Why is he a good fit for the San Francisco 49ers? And he made reference to it. He said athleticism. Everyone can focus in on that, but Justin is more than just a runner. And I know you were impressed, Andrew, with that 4.44 40 time. Say that 5 times fast. It's hard to get off of that, but he's not just a runner in that offense potentially wearing a San Francisco uniform. It's what he can do as a mobile quarterback and make some throws. But I said, what's an underrated characteristic for a Shanahan quarterback that we don't talk nearly enough about? And he said footwork. He did not hesitate to tell me that. And if you're not familiar, Justin Fields is actually a great athlete and potentially was a 2-sport athlete on his way to Ohio State where he could have played baseball. That never materialized, but he's still a guy that's got fantastic footwork because of his time as a shortstop. And certainly that is one of the things, if the Niners, Andrew, go and select him, that could pay dividends.
Patrick Mahomes' baseball background as well. One of the reasons he's so good on those off-platform throws. Zach Wilson has that ability as well. You also spoke, Mike, I know, to Ronnie Lott, who's seen plenty of college football in his time, 49er legend, obviously. What do you have to say about Fields?
Well, look, we could throw out the distinction of Hall of Famer, and I get that. I'm going to put those credentials to the side for just a second because Ronnie was actually also part of the College Football Playoff Committee. So he did a remarkable job assessing not only the best teams, but the best players in college football. So he's gotten eyes on all the guys, most of the guys that the Niners are considering with that 3rd overall pick. But he had focused in unprompted on Joe Montana. And he said, hey, Joe was not only the greatest of all time, but what made him the greatest was his ability to consistently be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And the one thing that he saw from Justin Fields at Ohio State was also that ability, his presence in terms of those big game moments. That's really what stood out to Ronnie Lott. But Andrew, for what it's worth, I said, hey, if you're John Lynch, if you're Kyle Shanahan, if they're calling you up, what are you going to tell them to do with that 3rd overall pick? And a very political non-answer answer, he said Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think that's going to shake out that way, based off of your conversation with James Palmer a little bit earlier in the show.
I highly doubt that's going to happen. But if it did happen, I mean, that would be pretty big news. We might have to break in for that. Mike Yam live at Levi Stadium. They're doing vaccinations behind him in that stadium, which is awesome as well. Thank you, Mike, as we look at the 49ers at number 3. And we look at Rhett Lewis's mock draft now. NFL.com/Lewis. This is version 1.0. I think they're only letting Rhett have one mock draft. But we are thrilled that Rhett Lewis got a mock draft. And Rhett is with us now. Bucky Brooks as well. That was only the top 10. We did let Rhett do all 32 selections. You can find them online. Rhett, hello. Bucky, hello again. Let's start with 7 because you have the Lions, Rhett, going quarterback at 7.
Yeah, I have him go with Trey Lance at number 7, and I think that the Lions are a real wild card there, especially if we get the quarterbacks off 1, 2, 3, and then if they're those 2 quarterbacks, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, as those remaining 2, I think the idea that Jared Goff is there gives the Lions some flexibility, especially with a guy like Lance. If you want to say that he might need a little bit of extra time to figure things out at the NFL level, they've got that luxury with Jared Goff there in Detroit. Maybe some patience there in Detroit as well. 6-year contracts for the GM and the head coach. And then you've got 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years. The additional first-round pick coming from Matthew Stafford each of the next 2 years in that trade. So maybe when Trey Lance is ready, this team will be in a better position to support him and to compete when they decide to turn the reins over to him. That was just one of the reasons. It's one of those scenarios that we're trying to play out in these mock drafts.
Look, I understand it because the Lions are sitting there at 7. They have Jared Goff, and you're right. For the next 2 years, they can play around with Jared Goff. They can develop Trey Lance, and that would be a good pick. I am curious to see what Brad Holmes elects to do because this appears to be a bit of a long rebuild, but internally they feel like they can get this thing up and going. So maybe they bypass and get a position player.
That would be interesting, and that would leave Justin Fields, Rhett, in his mock draft as Justin Fields going 9 to the Broncos. Also interesting, they would not have to make the move up. We reported earlier, Tom Pelissero did, Rhett, that maybe the Patriots would move into the top 10.
Right. Looking
at Justin Fields, you have the Patriots staying pat, and you have them getting Micah Parsons, who gets to 15.
Right. I mean, look, there's a real possibility that he is long gone by the 15th overall selection there because he is arguably the best defensive player in this draft. I could see him going to the team we just talked about there at number 7, to the Detroit Lions or anywhere in between. He's that good of a player, and I really struggled to find a spot for Micah Parsons, and that's no knock on his talent or his ability to succeed at the NFL. It's just, look, it's difficult projecting these picks, right, and trying to figure out what, how you kind of judge need and best player available. And for me, this was a real tough choice for the Patriots to make, too, because Devontae Smith is sitting there on the board at 15, the Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama. I have him going to the very next selection to the Arizona Cardinals at 16. But, man, Parsons feels like the type of player, playmaking second-level defender at linebacker that the Patriots, have kind of missed since Jamie Collins was back in his prime, 7-8 years ago. So I think this could be a real shot in the arm for the Patriots defense.
I'm with you on this one, Red. I actually like this pick, whether there's a quarterback available or not. If Micah Parsons is within range, I think he should be the guy that the Patriots go after. When you look at the rebuilding that they've done this offseason in terms of trying to get this defense back to elite, the one missing piece is that disruptive playmaker on the second level that also can add as a blitzer. Micah Parsons can do all of that. When I watch his game, it screams Patriots. If we don't want to see the evil empire come back, let's not associate Micah Parsons with them because if he comes back, that defense goes back to being elite.
All right, I want to scroll through some of these. You got Devontae Smith at 16, so the Cardinals don't have to move up there to get the wide receiver. You have Kwity Paye at 17, falling to the Raiders there in Vegas. Owusu Koramoah to Washington at 19. Then fast forward down. I want to get to the Packers here because last year, obviously, they made a lot of waves and they took Jordan Love, and then Aaron Rodgers, picked up the bottle of scotch that night. You have them, and I don't think this would drive him to drink. You have the Packers taking Elijah Moore at 29.
No, it might drive him to drink just in celebration.
At a celebration.
Yeah, out of celebration. Pop the bottle. It's like, let's go, Packers fans. This one's for you here at 29. Now, this is given that he gets by the Saints at 28, which I have happening right now. But finally, the Packers, you get your wide receiver, your coveted, beloved wide receiver in the first round in Elijah Moore, who by all accounts had one of the most impressive wide receiver workouts of the pro day season. And look, that's not it. He's obviously got phenomenal tape. His work in the double move game, I mean, like, he is a nightmare out there in one-on-one coverage. And I think the exact type of wide receiver that would really complement Devontae Adams and help Aaron Rodgers and this Packers offense continue their run at the top of the NFC, put them right back in Super Bowl contention again, and kind of give them that added bonus, Bucky, on offense. I like Elijah Moore. OBJ, Odell Beckham just gave him the seal of approval as well. So look, all signs are pointing up here for Elijah Moore.
Signs are pointing up, Red, and in most instances, I would be all about it. I would say Elijah Moore is a perfect fit with the Packers. He is terrific going opposite Devontae Adams. But one thing I know, the Packers don't take wide receivers in the first round. So you better hope that he falls to the second round for him to be a Packer. Otherwise, forget about it. Rip that sheet up. It's not going to happen. Elijah Moore, not in the first round. Maybe in the second, not in the first.
All right, I got a couple of things before we let you plug Path to the draft here. Kevin Colbert, the Steelers GM earlier today, said we used to do mock drafts, and it was a complete waste of time. He also said, I don't watch any draft shows. So with that in mind, Rhett, and I love your mock draft for the record, and DJ is not here, so I have to take shots at you because he's already in Cleveland.
Thank you.
Please plug Path to the draft tonight.
Well, Kevin